there's like tinges or a little bit of a deja vu from Standing Rock is going on right now in Minnesota. If you don't know, the Line 3 pipeline, which is an Enbridge pipeline, Enbridge, the company that is responsible for the biggest oil spill in American history, which happened in Michigan, Enbridge has been trying to do a replacement pipeline called Line 3. Because the existing pipeline is pretty damn old. So they are building a new pipeline. It starts in Canada and it distributes the most dirty oil in the world from the tar sands of Canada, and it goes through Minnesota and other states to get to Wisconsin. And contrary to the corporate talking points and big oil talking points, it actually is for external exporting oil. It's not for American domestic use. So, as they did in Standing Rock, it is going through Native American reservations, threatening their water, their wildlife, sacred burial sites, among other things. So, Honor the Earth and other indigenous groups have rallied people to Minnesota for something called the Treaty Gathering, which they are actively protesting as the pipeline is being built. Right now, there's hundreds of people out there. I would have been out there, but I had 2 doctor's appointments this week one of them I've waited for a month to get. So it was kind of like, got to put my health first. So that doctor's appointment is tomorrow for my stomach, TMI. But we wanted to cover it. As they are protesting out there, wait till you see these videos. They are out there, indigenous people, fighting to stop this pipeline going through their reservation, their land, as per American treaties that have been discarded. Non-indigenous water protectors are there too. Colin, let's show them the first clips of helicopters, Department of Homeland Security and Border Control helicopters, literally flying at extremely low levels to try and clear away the water protectors. So you literally have Department of Homeland Security, Border Control, flying crazy low over indigenous protesters who I believe have a First Amendment right to protest, who are protesting against the pipeline like Standing Rock, going through their reservation, their water, their wildlife, their sacred burial grounds. And I don't know, Department of Homeland Security, Border Control. Trump's not president anymore. Obviously, they're doing this out in the open. Biden shut down the Keystone XL pipeline, and the resistance cheered. But he hasn't shut down the Democratic Party. Democratic Party hasn't shut down. Has not shut down the Democratic. I keep saying that. Has not shut down the Dakota Access Pipeline. He has not shut down Line 3 pipeline. And now the Department of Homeland Security, which I believe is through the Biden, the Border Control, is literally essentially trying to threaten indigenous water protectors to not protest and to not slow down construction. Colin, I wanted to show the other clips I sent you. So we showed you the helicopter. Now let's show you some of the other clips of how many people are there protesting. Ford Fisher, who's on the ground there with news to share from his Twitter live stream. And look at how many people are gathered there right now. It's really unbelievable. Kind of reminds me of Standing Rock back in 2016. Honestly, like, The media didn't cover President Obama allowing this crap to happen at Standing Rock. They're not going to cover this. But you
Right.
have Biden, who, oh, they had a working task force with Bernie and Bernie members of Bernie's campaign and Sunrise Movement, who I like Sunrise Movement, the climate activists said, oh, his climate plan is the biggest, is the most, the boldest plan we've had, even though it's totally insufficient. But now, same old, same old. After stealing Native American land, now they're putting a pipeline through it, and basically, Biden's goons are basically attacking Native Americans once again.
Yeah, and you're completely right. Obviously, you were at Standing Rock. You know how they covered Obama, and you know how Native Americans felt abandoned and still felt abandoned. And um, the fact that Biden is in office now and Trump is not means nothing. But the promises that Biden made mean nothing. We have these glimpses of hope, but in the end, it doesn't pan out. Joe Biden doesn't care. All that matters to these people, all that matters to these Democrats that are in office is the money. It all revolves around the money for these elected officials. And despite the fact that these oil pipelines, gas pipelines all over, including in Canada, go through sacred lands, go through people's homes, in some cases, I know we're talking about a very specific thing right now, but this happens all over the place. We reported a few years ago property that had been, this wasn't native land, but property that had been in a family for hundreds and hundreds of years, and through eminent domain it was allowed to be seized by an oil company. And so, speaking specifically about native land, this adds another layer, because it is sacred land. On top of it being their land, it is sacred land. And there's the added issue of remains. And the fact that Joe Biden, who's supposed to be, who according to liberals and, brunch Democrats, has this big old heart, and he's just Uncle Joe, and just such a nice man, with such a caring guy, good old Uncle Joe. The fact that he doesn't think about these things or care about these things is so stomach turning. And he doesn't. He truly doesn't. He cares about the money. He cares about the people who are going to put money in his pockets and in the pockets of lobbyists and in the pockets of the Democrats he's trying to help get elected, and all of the lobbies surrounding that and all of the companies surrounding that. So it's disgusting. And I see Paul asking, like, why isn't there more of an uproar? And I do wonder that sometimes. Standing Rock was something special for many, many reasons. One of the reasons was because it did get, a lot of attention. And Jordan, you were a big part of that. It didn't get anywhere near as much attention as it should have gotten, but it did get at least the progressive folks from around the country, and even from some other countries, to come and to care and to pay attention. But a lot of these other fights don't get anywhere near that level of attention. And this continues to happen. And Joe Biden is allowed to slip under the radar, allowing these oil companies, gas companies to desecrate these lands, and there are no consequences. I do think that, when it comes to Obama, Standing Rock was an anomaly because of that, because it got so much attention, and he still got away with it. It still didn't matter. Those dogs were still out there biting folks, and the rubber bullets were still, striking folks, and Native Americans were still losing their eyes, and you got hurt, Jordan, and just the way that people were treated got some attention. But now what? Now what? Joe Biden's going to get away with it even more, probably. And everyone's back at brunch.
So same thing, similar grisly images that are going on there as we saw in 2016. And I have an answer, Paul, on why this doesn't get attention. Frankly, because the resistance was a faux resistance, and it was made up by suburban soccer moms, wine moms, and Democratic Party operatives who cashed in. And it was mostly heavily concentrated in New York, D.C., major urban cities with Elizabeth Warren type professional class voters who, frankly, doesn't mean they're racist, but are very disconnected and don't quite give a shit about the plight of Native Americans. And to them, they go to brunch, and if the climate's burning, so be it. Oh, if native water's at risk, oh, too bad. We'll maybe we'll tweet about it once in a while. That's what's going on here. It doesn't help that the corporate media ignores it. Somebody asked in the chat, well, how does the federal government allowed to fly over their land? Don't they have doesn't the tribe have jurisdiction? The tribe should have jurisdiction over its land, but unfortunately, that's usually not the case. Usually not the case on these lands. And most of these pipeline projects, some of the pipeline goes through federal land, which in reality is native land, but goes through federal land. So they get away with flying wherever the hell they want. And they did this at Standing Rock too. You had the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, U.S. Marshals were surveilling the camp, flying over the camp, sending in moles to the camp. Moles that pretended to be water protectors, but were just looking for information to send back to the FBI and others. So this is, it's a long history. The FBI did this to Fred Hampton, the Black Panthers, civil rights leaders, feminist movement leaders, LGBT movement. So this is not their first rodeo, but it's a disgrace.